gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for February 10th, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Yoko Taro is doing what everyone else was too afraid to do, turning video games into women. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Tamoor Hussain, everybody. Tam, how are you doing?
Jeff, I'm very tired this week.
Yeah.
I am feeling slightly under the weather.
Oh.
It's Friday.
It's right.
It's Friday.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
got the trash. I got the crumbs. I'm going to turn this bitch into a cake.
That's right. Well, you know, I saved something for you this week. We'll get to that eventually.
Hell yeah.
So we'll have some fun with that. But yeah, other than that, mostly the garbage. Mostly like cleanup stories from interviews that happened on Monday and Tuesday.
You know, when it comes to video game news and reporting, I am the raccoon of the industry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
Yes.
Give me a pile of garbage and I will get in there and absolutely have the best time. I will make it good. You're going to be watching my raccoony ass going through these trash news stories and being like, I want some of that. He's making that look tasty. Let me tell you, it's not tasty. It's absolutely disgusting. It is the dregs, but I am the trash panda of this industry.
That's what we're gonna waddle in there. We're gonna find
the eyes for it.
Yeah,
I got the eyes for it. I am. Raccoons are one of my favorite animals of all time.
Me too.
Next to crows and raccoons, love them. Top two animals, and cats, obviously.
We're definitely gonna find some brown banana peels and some just like leftover Big Mac wrappers, and we're just gonna pile them up on our belly. And we're going to be like, ooh, look, Bobby Kotick is in here. Oh, all right, I guess that's what we're talking about. Okay, let's go. All right, we'll get into the mess, but first, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Nintendo investor QA promises Switch isn't dead even after Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Nintendo says, all right, we're not going to kill the Switch immediately. It's all right, fair enough. This comes from Jim Norman at Nintendo Life. Earlier this week, we got a look at Nintendo's Q3 financial figures for fiscal year 2023, and there were some big milestones crossed. Switch outsigned the Game Boy, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe passing 50 million sales, and much more. All this pointed towards a Q&A session with the company's director that would be looking to the future of the console, unpacking what's to come next. The Q&A was published today, and it didn't really have much to say of substance, but there were some interesting tidbits. Mostly, it was the director and the other people who were answering questions echoing a couple ideas. Basically, across all 8 questions in the 6-page document, they said Nintendo is entering uncharted territory. This is a console that is heading into its 7th year on the market, and that's a point that is also equally hammered home throughout those answers. And the director's response seems to suggest a certain level of tiptoeing around what is to come next, especially when considering the Switch's declining sales. As the Nintendo representative director and president, Shuntaro Furukawa, candidly states, sales have been steady entering the fourth quarter, but in Nintendo Switch's 7th year, it might be hard to increase unit sales with hardware-related initiatives alone. The cure for now, it seems, and this is back to the story, is to focus on releasing new Switch titles and maintaining the appeal of those that are already out. And here's another quote. We want to maintain a high level of engagement with the hardware and create new demand, not only by releasing new titles, but also by working further to convey the appeal of existing titles. Now, if you take those sentiments, basically apply that to everything the company was asked. They're like, yeah, we're going to keep making stuff for the Switch, and we're going to make great games, and that's going to be what makes people want to get the system, and that's our plan going forward. Some of the elements that they were asked about here, Tam, include, well, you could lower the price, right? And their response to that was no, because that would send the signal that Nintendo lowers the price, and we don't do that. Basically, that's basically what the answer was. So in that case, they are going to have to rely on games. I think Zelda's probably strong enough to carry them through most of the next financial year, even though it's coming out pretty early in the fiscal year. But they also probably have stuff coming afterwards, including Pokemon DLC at the very least, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think their strategy here is probably sound in a lot of ways. I think by announcing anything or revealing anything about the Switch's successor, they kind of shoot the Switch in the head, and that's pretty much it. And they also then become obligated to take currently existing projects that are either coming out soon or in development and create the expectation that will be now moved to whatever the next piece of hardware is, and they might just not be in a position to do that. Especially with something like Zelda. Like if they said, hey, yeah, we're working on another the successor to the Switch, next question would be, well, I assume you're working on a port for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom then, and they just might not be doing that. But yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. I would suspect it's not going to be too long now before we hear more about the next Nintendo console, but I don't think in an official capacity anyway. We still have that long rumored Switch Pro or whatever it is that's supposed to pop up, that we've heard multiple times people say with some level of authority that it does exist. But the flip side of that is, like, we've known Nintendo to create things that definitely exist and then just never put them out or just kill them like really late. So it could be a case of where they're just like, no, we're sticking with this until we get the next major different piece of hardware.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in a situation where that thing probably did exist and it just isn't going to come out, or is significantly transforming into something else. I mean, that is the subtext here whenever they are tiptoeing around what's coming next, and they keep saying they're in uncharted territory. The system is in its 7th year. They do plan to keep supporting it as their primary product. And so they're okay, well, how do we do this in the 7th year? Well, really, they haven't done that much before. They've had Game Boy that went, 10 years and then got Game Boy Color and stuff. So they've done it a long time ago, but things have changed pretty drastically since then. And so it's like, you can't really rely on on that strategy because, it's, again, we're uncharted territory because gamers have different expectations now. The answer does continue to be, though, games. I mean, that's why when we've heard, a couple weeks ago, Nintendo has a really light second half of the year. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, and Nintendo's kind of saying that a little bit. The people that were saying that were like, "Oh, it's not going to be heavy hitters," and that's going to depend on how you define a Nintendo heavy hitter. But it does seem like Nintendo should come back around summertime, maybe a little bit later, with another direct or something similar to announce stuff for the second half of this year, because we got games announced through July with Pikmin 4 coming out then, and then really nothing for the second half of the year. Furukawa was asked about that, and he said, he reaffirmed that there will be more titles coming to the Switch in the latter half of the year, though he did not go into the detail about what form these will take. So, of course, they're going to have something. I just, really, it does seem like for the first part of the second half of the year, so from May until maybe the fall, it's going to be really relying on Zelda. And that, I think you're right. That strategy is mostly sound.
Yeah.
By December, though, if we got if we did get like a word or like a trailer for a Switch follow-up, whether that's a Pro or a 2, would that surprise you?
No, I don't think so. I think that I would be surprised if it was an official thing like a trailer. I think we're more likely to get some sort of leak than in official capacity. Here's a teaser or a trailer, or even at most like someone in some financial report just saying we are working on the next iteration of Nintendo's hardware. Or the next piece of Nintendo's hardware. But so to a degree, if it was an official teaser or a trailer created by Nintendo, I would be surprised by that.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on this a little bit where you're like, any sort of talking about what's next shoots the Switch in the head, and it brings up questions about the games. And the reason is because we don't know how Nintendo's going to handle the transition from one console to the next, and the support for the Nintendo eShop purchases. A lot of people want to assume, including myself, that full backward compatibility is a given, but it would be an unknown. And if Nintendo doesn't have answers right away, or if there are some hang-ups there that causes them to be quiet until they can, really reveal everything, which could take months or could be like right up next to the release of the system, that's just months and months where people are like, should I even be buying games on the Switch, or should I just wait for the Switch 2 so that we know? And they don't want to mess around with that. And that's also one of the big things that they're trying to figure out. That's what they're tiptoeing around. How do we message this? How do we pull this off? And I think Nintendo's like kind of a little bit confused on the answers to those questions for now.
Yeah, like you said, they need to give the currently slated games for the Switch the best chance they can, and something like Tears of the Kingdom will be fine for the most part of it. But the moment they do talk about the next hot piece of hardware, that kind of will stunt the sales numbers of Tears of the Kingdom. And then also you have to think about games like Pikmin, which are like, Pikmin doesn't sell a crazy amount.
No, I think Pikmin 3 Deluxe did 2 million.
Yeah. They get to a decent number, but it takes them a real long time. Something like Pikmin, where you kind of are relying on a slow burn, long tail kind of approach to, and them marketing Pikmin and like they say, continuously conveying the value of Pikmin to push sales forward. Having another piece of hardware announced pretty much kills that game.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of questions they have to start fielding around stuff like Metroid Prime 4 and other projects that are rumored to be in the works there. Like they're probably not ready to just be like, we can't have the conversation move to that before we're ready to talk about it in any meaningful way.
I mean, this goes back to the 3DS, right? Nintendo has learned this lesson because of the 3DS. There is no slow transition from one console to the next anymore. The people showing up for console gaming are mostly highly engaged fans of console gaming, and they are also most of the kind of people who, once they see a new piece of hardware, they're going to go to that and stop buying games for the last piece of hardware. That happened to the 3DS. Most of the games that came out in that last year for the 3DS just crashed and burned. No one bought them. WarioWare Gold, there are a handful of other ones that aren't coming to mind, but Alpha Dream closed down because they put out a couple of Mario and Luigi remasters and remakes right at that time, and 0 people bought them. And it's like, man, those are great games, but 0 people bought them because people weren't buying games for the 3DS. Nintendo was like looking at that like, we can't do that again, obviously. But so then what do we do? Who knows?
Also, like the Nintendo, as part of Nintendo's strategy, they've presumably got new games, but like they're one of the few companies that can rely on nostalgia and lean on nostalgia harder than anyone else, and have it pay off in a kind of noticeable way. Where Sony, Microsoft, they release older games, and it's kind of like so. Some people are interested, but there's a kind of investment in old Nintendo properties, IPs, and games that is way beyond most people would give the other platforms. So like, and Metroid Prime is probably a great example of that. Like, it is a fantastic remake that a lot of people have put a lot of hard work into, but I'm surprised to see the amount of people that are so willing to pay money, like a lot of money for that game again. And they could very easily continue that kind of approach and start doing way more GameCube remakes and bring back Wii games that didn't have a great shot. Like Kirby was Wii U or Wii, the upcoming one. I think it might have been a Wii U game. But like, that's a remake to a degree, or like a re-release of it. Like I fully expect them to also continue mining the depths of their back catalog and adding new content to it, or just making it look better. Even when it comes to Game Boy and Game Boy Color stuff, like just re-releasing it as is, and using that as like a bunch of different revenue streams that together will help them in a cost-effective way get through a period where ordinarily they would need some sort of new hardware to boost their footprint in the industry. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll come out and message a lot of this here pretty soon. I think they're coming off of a direct that I felt was pretty strong. And then of course I keep saying it, but they're going to start selling Zelda soon, or they started pre-orders, but it's going to launch soon, and then that's going to
Listen,
be
they're
all
going
they
to
were
put
for a
out
while.
a little stupid new Link figure, and everyone is going to lose their shit.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, I'm going to buy 1 million of these. And they're going to be like, ha, 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 these fools. They thought that we needed a new console. All we needed was new amiibo.
It's all we're in an amiibo-based economy now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that direct. We'll keep an eye out for what Nintendo does in terms of messaging. That brings me to some things I've been hearing about Sony and their equivalent State of Play. So this is something I've been trying to like track down. I've heard a little bit of rumblings. More recently, though, I've been able to kind of put a more finer point on it. It does seem like a State of Play should be happening in the next few weeks to month. I don't want to be like, oh, by the end of the month, but like in that range, next few weeks to a month, we should be seeing a State of Play. At least that's the current plan right now. These things have shifted before. This brings me to it's not just a State of Play that's in the works. A PlayStation showcase also is in the works. This is one. It's supposed to be bigger, like their showcases they had in the fall of 2021, right? And then 2020, they had two, I think, and then they didn't do one last year. Well, they were going to do one last year, but the developers couldn't get their assets up in a way that was satisfactory to like really justify a showcase. So they ended up doing a State of Play instead. So these things can change, like leading up to them, and so the things I'm hearing now could also change. But right now, it does seem like State of Play soon, and then PlayStation Showcase before E3.
For clarity, two separate events: a State of Play and then a separate showcase.
Two separate and but mostly unrelated things. Like they are, they're related because it's Sony, but it'll be a State of Play with some stuff in it, maybe a slightly smaller scale, and then there will be a showcase following it up a few months later. But what I'm hearing is still the time frame for that is before what is traditionally E3, so before June.
It would make sense to have some sort of event that highlights the VR component of their kind of offerings right now, especially with PlayStation VR upcoming. They'll probably need to get out there and be like, hey, here's what's coming in the pipeline for PlayStation VR 2, so that people who are looking at whether they're going to buy it can also have a kind of roadmap in mind for what will kind of justify that purchase for the next few months. So if I had to guess, I imagine there'll be some VR component, but I'm just speculating.
I think that's right. I think they need to not abandon ship on PSVR 2 if the reports about the shipment numbers is down. Now I know if Sony came out and said production numbers aren't unaffected, but that has nothing to do with shipment numbers and demand among retailers. And if there is issues with demand, that's all coming from a perceived dearth of software support. And they can answer that by saying, well, we have the launch lineup. We've told you about this before, but now here's a pretty credible roadmap of what's coming in next year and some big promises for VR. If they could do that, that'll help that a little bit and maybe get people over the hump to be like, you know what, I'll buy it now, enjoy what's there. It'll make, especially if we start hearing good things about it, because we've already had those previews. People seem to really like the hardware, so it's like if that comes out and like, oh well, now I'm having FOMO. This is a better way to play the VR games I already have. I'll get it now because I also know it's going to pay off dividends in the future as these new projects come out. I think that's probably right. And then they have like Spider-Man 2 coming later this year. We know about Wolverine. Beyond that, we don't know much. So they will probably begin plugging in some holes on their release calendar, starting with the State of Play.
Listen, Jim Ryan, Herman Holst, I know you're watching. I've got the solve for all of your VR woes. Tokyo Jungle VR.
Yes, let's do it.
Get on it. It will change your lives. You're going to be like, holy crap, this is our Fortnite. We could live off this forever. Can we get Ariana Grande in Tokyo Jungle? Yes. It will happen.
We can.
Get on it.
Yes, we can. She's the new star of Tokyo Jungle. Okay, let's move on to this next story. Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster could be in the works at Square Enix. This comes from My Nintendo News. Ichiro Hazama and Masanobu Suzy, the producer and director, respectively, behind Theta Rhythm Final Bar Line, were recently interviewed by Finaland and subsequently revealed that Final Fantasy Tactics team is, quote, incredibly busy at the moment. This has led to much speculation online that the team is busy finishing off work on the Final Fantasy Tactics remake.
They could be making Lego. They could be doing anything. He could be like, they're very busy right now. Cut to that team and they're just coloring in.
Yes.
They're like, we're busy right now. But everyone's like, Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster. No, they're doing ceramics. They have taken up ceramics.
Now,
and
ceramics
they are no longer
weren't in
making
the
games.
NVIDIA leak. To be fair, ceramics this was in the NVIDIA leak, so that's why people keep coming back to it. But you're definitely right that this is pretty thin. Hazama said, for example, they were asked. Hazama was asked, like, "Hey, why aren't there more Final Fantasy Tactics characters in Theater Rhythm?" And instead of saying, "Because I hate it," he said,
"Because nobody knows who they are." That's why.
Yeah, except because it's not worth it. Yeah, he said, for example, if it is related to Final Fantasy VII, we have to go talk with Nomura-san to check. For Final Fantasy Tactics, it is the team who owns Tactics. We have to go talk to them, basically saying we have to go get their approval and their insight about how to implement it into Theater Rhythm, which I just actually don't believe. There are different people.
I don't want to see Ramza in Theater Rhythm. That's all I'm saying. Leave him alone.
There are different people among the company who own those games, who made them. We have to talk about the characters, what kind of abilities they should have, how they should behave in the game, how they should be portrayed. This kind of performance. We need to check all that. We just don't want to do it ourselves. The Tactics team is incredibly busy at the moment. They have other things to do. They are heavily involved in another project at the moment, so we just don't have the time to talk to them. I think that's probably why more Tactics characters haven't been included in the game. I want to believe. Jan heard Tactics. Jan on the move. And he's just like, wait, everyone stop. I gotta get in chat.
Jan is on the move, one tile at a time towards his computer. He's waiting for us to say something, then he can move one tile forward.
I believe, Tam. It is thin, but I want to believe. Everything else with the NVIDIA leak has panned out for the most part, except for Titanfall 3, which was always actually Apex Legends.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything's real and came out, and we're just kind of waiting for a couple more to finally actually get revealed in some way. Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster and Final Fantasy IX Remake are two of those. And hey, let's go. I mean, and it's not like Square Enix is like being like, we're going to be sort of conservative. They put out 35 games last year of all kinds of scales. They were probably not abandoning that strategy anytime soon. This is probably happening.
Yeah, we had Tactics Ogre re-released. I feel like all bets are off once you've had Tactics Ogre re-released. That's the most niche of them all. So it only makes sense to go back to Final Fantasy Tactics. It's one of those games that is beloved. It is one of those games where you mention it and people start crying immediately about it. And it's like it's very inaccessible in a lot of ways right now. It's due a kind of a re-release to a degree. The question is, like, to what extent are they remaking it? Are they doing the full, the new visual style as well, or are they just like trying to keep that as much as as close to the original as possible? But yeah, those Tactics games are beloved. It only makes sense for them to do it.
Yes, and I'm ready for it. I was a big Final Fantasy Tactics Advance guy, and haven't played much of the original Tactics. So yeah, let's go. War of the Lions. I'll show up for that.
I will say, I said it as a joke, but I would actually kind of like that team to make a Tactics Lego game. I thought you were going
to say, I kind of hope they would make just Lego. I'm like, yeah, they could do that on their free time too.
I hope they are. Yeah, I hope they are just all working on. They're very busy and they're all working on one big Lego build. Like, we just got the Lego Lord of the Rings Shire thing, and we're like, it's the millions.
We finished the Eiffel Tower, and we're real proud. But we're gonna move on to Lord of the Rings now. All right, cool, good for you. 2023's Call of Duty might not just be DLC after all. This comes from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. It was reported recently that 2023 would have a premium entry in the Call of Duty franchise. Due to the vagueness of this, it was assumed by many that there would simply be some DLC content to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. However, a recent report by Insider Gaming states that while the new game may have started out as just DLC, Sledgehammer has since changed the project to be a full new Call of Duty game, complete with a campaign. It is also said to be a large collaborative project between all of Activision's Call of Duty studios, with Sledgehammer still acting as the lead developer. Speculation is currently pointing towards the new game being heavily connected to the Modern Warfare series, but we'll have to see if we end up with Modern Warfare 3. That seems unlikely, Modern Warfare 3, but this game it definitely did start as like, we put out Modern Warfare 2, we will follow that up the next year because we're not going to put out a full new Call of Duty. We'll follow that up with more content made by Sledgehammer instead. And then the year after that, we'll get back on track with new Call of Duties. It just sounds like, hey, they're real happy with what they have, so let's just turn this into its own game on its own. And that's kind of not too surprising. That's just sort of the way they've been making games for so long. It's not surprising that they just sort of stumbled into this, right?
Yeah, what I heard happened was there was a small team working on this DLC, And then the kind of leaders at Sledgehammer looked around the studio, and everyone's fucking building Lego.
Yeah.
And they were like, God damn it, what is wrong with you video game developer people?
It's a scourge on game development. Lego.
Put the Lego away. We're making a full game now. And now they're making a full game. That's what I heard anyway.
Yeah. Bobby Kotick trying to ban Lego. It's real backfiring on him. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah. Also, like, yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, cool.
I don't. All right, whatever, man. I feel like as when people are like, we're getting a new Call of Duty game, and they're like, oh, it's DLC. I'm like, okay. And they're like, no, it's a full game. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right. Well, it's just like it annualized or like re-releases to the point where I don't care what it is. Just put it out. Like, I don't need to know about the nitty gritty of this stuff. Just put it out.
It's kind of similar. Like, there's gonna be a new Pokemon thing later this year, and it's probably just gonna be DLC for the last game. I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. Okay, yeah.
We as an industry have subscribed to the Call of Duty regular delivery subscription program. You will get a regular delivery of Call of Duty. It's one of those grab bag situations where they're going to put a bunch of cool things in there or whatever, and then send it to you, and you're going to open it, and you're going to be like, okay, cool.
I was gonna be like, I spent a penny and it decided to get 12 CDs. And then I just never figured out how to cancel, and now I'm paying $100 a year or whatever, and they keep sending me Call of Duty. Yeah.
The industry does not know how to cancel the Call of Duty subscription service. We're all just getting them, and everyone's just being like, okay.
It just keeps showing up. I don't even know which credit card I have it on, but it keeps coming.
The only way you like snap us out of this is if you say something wild, like we are making a new Call of Duty and it is a rhythm game.
Yeah,
that is the way people go. What? Otherwise, if you just say we're making a new Call of Duty, it doesn't matter if it's a small one, doesn't matter if it's a big one. People are just going to go,
boots on the ground. Sony says Microsoft's demands in the FTC case about Activision acquisition are, quote, obvious harassment. This comes from Marie Delisandre at GamesIndustry.biz. Sony has characterized Microsoft's demands related to the U.S. regulators' investigation into the proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition as, quote, obvious harassment. As reported by Axios, Microsoft had asked to see documents about 7 Sony executives as part of the case and in the context of a subpoena it filed mid-January. Quote, Microsoft made reasonable requests that SIE begin collecting documents from agreed-upon custodians at various points during the negotiations, including in writing on January 26th and January 31st. SIE rejected these requests. To Microsoft's counsel's knowledge, SIE has not completed collections for a single custodian, not even for individuals like SIE president and CEO Jim Ryan, who has traveled the world speaking out against the Microsoft Activision deal and whose role as a custodian has never been in dispute. Sony replied the next day saying that given the high volume of documents relating to the 7 individuals, collecting, processing, reviewing, and producing them is, quote, burdensome. Microsoft's demands for performance reviews of SIE's leadership is obvious harassment. Even in employment cases, courts require a specific showing of relevance before requiring production of personnel files. Now, I suppose like some of the things that I guess Microsoft is asking for is like performance reviews for like Jim Ryan and some of the others.
yes. I'm like, I love this.
Me too.
This is the corporate kaiju are once again fighting. It's like if you know in like any Godzilla movie where like they show the perspective of the normal human at ground level and they're just looking up at like Godzilla and King Kong, and like Godzilla and King Kong are like so slowly moving, like they're engaging. That's what we're watching here. These two corporations are slowly like poking each other in the eyes, and we're just like, man, I hope I don't get stepped on, and I hope that my house is still standing once they're done. That's where we're at now, where these two are just like just poking at each other. And you know what? Fair play. Like, if you're gonna do something like try and buy Activision Blizzard, like you gotta expect some level of pettiness.
Oh yes,
from both sides, and this is like, make no mistake. This is how corporations act pay.
Yeah,
they get
through lawyers
involved,
yes.
And then they start doing stuff like, prove it. Prove it. And Sony, I expect, will retaliate with, so's your face. And we will sit there being like, all right, one of these days they'll get over this shit and we will either Microsoft will own Activision or they won't.
Yeah, it just feels. You're right. It just feels like one of them is like a big mecha suit, and it's a bunch of lawyers in the control room just yelling, "Launch the Discovery attack!" And it's like, all right, now we're in Discovery. Okay, yeah.
Microsoft retaliated with your mom.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Damn.
And you're right. That's like the entire strategy is be as annoying as possible because eventually the annoyance will outweigh the value.
This sounds like a joke, but that is genuinely a legal strategy where it's like overburden the other person or the other entity with so much work that it causes issues to the whole process, and hopefully there's something happens along the way where they're either like, let's just let them do this. It's too much effort for us. We're spending too much money, and like that is genuinely a valid legal strategy that people employ, where it's like. Just send them too much information that they have to spend like a year filtering through it to find the one word that they need, or the one sentence, or the one document. And that is what they're doing here. They're just like, we want all the documents that it's going to take you months to get, and will potentially expose all your highest executives to public scrutiny.
Yeah.
Give us that stuff. And then now Sony has to go, do we want to do that, or should we just let them buy the Peggle people?
Yeah, it's the lawyers. Yeah, they're like professionals at weaponizing pettiness. Like you said it so well. Like it's just that's just go in there and cause some shit. Like we could do that, and we could do it all legally, and we'll even have the backing of the law, and it's just going to be super annoying. Like that sounds great. Go do that. So
Microsoft going to come back with pull my finger.
Quit hitting yourself. This is the lawyer. Okay. It's Friday. I think we went most of this week without being threatened. So let's go to this one. Bobby Kotick will absolutely remain Activision CEO if Microsoft deal fails, it's claimed. Oh, no. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick is expected to remain in his current role should Microsoft's proposed acquisition fall through, it is claimed. In January 2022, the Wall Street Journal reported that sources said to be familiar with Kotick's plan told the outlet they expected the controversial CEO to leave. While it is still to be definitively confirmed whether this is actually the case, Fox Business now claims Kotick will stay as CEO if the deal breaks down. The publication claims that, according to sources close to the situation, Kotick will, quote, absolutely remain at the gaming giant to run the company should regulators derail the planned takeover. And it's like, okay, put down the Bobby Kotick knife. I'm so sick of being stabbed with that one in particular. Can you just please put it down? No, all right, you're picking it back up. Here we go again.
This reminds me of a GIF I saw the other day, which I really love. That is Hasbulla, and he's got a little knife and he flicks it out, and I was like, oh god, that's the most threatening thing I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly that, where it's like, oh no, Bobby is still a threat. I don't know. And it's just okay again. CEO is being a freak.
Mm-hmm. It's I think it's funny that I think even he knows me staying around is something no one wants, and I'll do it if the FTC doesn't approve this. And it's like, oh God, Jesus, you don't have to be.
At what point do you go you know what? Maybe it's better for me if I don't be the subject of everyone's vitriolic hate. What is it? It takes a different kind. You got to be built differently to be everyone in this industry hates me,
and that's strategically advantageous to me.
This is exactly what I want. I'm going to stay here and make it worse. It's like, all right, man.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, let's keep going. More characters seemingly returning to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in future DLC waves. This comes from Leon Doolin at Nintendo Life. It's not every day a new character is announced for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but yesterday, one of those rare cases happened with the return of Birdo, the pink racer originally debuted in Mario Kart Double Dash.
Waiting for Birdo.
I've been waiting for Birdo. I need those eggs to flap out of that face a little bit more. Show me that stuff. That's my kink. It seems Birdo might just be the beginning of DLC characters, with Nintendo's official PR mentioning how returning characters, pluralized, from the Mario Kart series will be added in future waves. Not counting Birdo, there are currently 42 characters in the game. Obviously Mario and Luigi and all that, but there's also characters from the Legend of Zelda series, Animal Crossing, and Splatoon. So, Tam, are we getting more characters from outside the Mario universe? And who do you want to see?
I think that it's absolutely wild that they haven't Smash Brothers the shit out of this game.
The only explanation is they're doing it with the next one, right?
I have no idea, but I would be like, uh Joker from Persona 5 is coming to Mario Kart. Like, and he is riding a Morgana kart. Like, how is that not a thing already? Like, just build that. That should have been built into the Smash Brothers contract. Like, put everyone in there.
Like, there's probably a clause in there, the Mario Kart clause, and no one read it. But it's like, we're in Smash Brothers. And wait, suddenly Bayonetta's just in the Mario Kart? Yeah, you signed it yeah, you're right. They should have just done that there.
And we have heard that everyone has been requesting Sora for Mario Kart. And we are happy to announce that Samus is coming to Mario Kart.
It's Waluigi's already in Mario Kart, so I don't even know what to whine about. They could put Gino in this one. Put Gino from Super Mario RPG in there.
Yeah. I'm just gonna. It's Friday, so I'm gonna start some chaos.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I hope Sora is never featured in any other game ever again.
That's one of the most beautiful sentences I've ever heard.
As a Kingdom Hearts player and fan, I just never want to see. I just never want to see him again.
Yeah, put him in a box, send it to the bottom of the ocean
forever.
Where even James Cameron can't reach him.
Yeah, take your big fat feet and never come back. That's it.
Yeah, I put Kirby in there because my kids like Kirby a lot. I was playing it the other day, and I was like a little surprised Kirby wasn't already in there. I'm like, wait, what? Really?
You're driving close to others, and then you suck them up, and you get their power ups, and you spit them out one place behind you, and you have their items now. Come on, it's easy. It designs itself, Nintendo.
Man. Or you're playing like a team race, and it's like you suck up your partner, and then you shoot him across the finish line, like on a star. Yeah. Like that.
Damn.
Let's do it.
That's great.
Okay. A couple more stories here. Retro Studios wasn't the only developer working on Metroid Prime Remastered. Another one from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. If you were wondering how Nintendo was able to release a remaster of Metroid Prime while the fourth major entry is still in development, is it? It turns out it was a team effort. The credits of Metroid Prime Remastered reveal Retro Studios was assisted by Iron Galaxy, the same developer behind a number of other Switch ports, such as The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, Diablo 3, and Overwatch. The American-based studio was also heavily involved with the Xbox version of Killer Instinct. Apart from Iron Galaxy, the remaster's credits list a number of support studios. Airship Images Limited, Atom Hawk Design, CG Bot, Game Sim Inc., Liquid Development, Original Force Limited, Shanghai Mindloader Digital Technology, and Zombot Studio. Man,
I just want to say Shanghai Mindloader Digital Technology is the greatest name for a studio I have ever heard.
SMDT? Yeah, they're out there doing work.
Oh my God. Put Shanghai Mindloader Digital Technologies on more projects, please.
I'm gonna get a t-shirt of that name. I don't know. They have a logo, whatever I want it. Shanghai Mindloader Digital Technology. Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Let's just all act like they made Metroid Prime. Just be like Shanghai Mindloader.
Come on, that's stolen valor from Tommy Tallarico. You can't steal valor from Tommy Tallarico like that. Oh boy.
Oh my God, I forgot about the Tommy Tallarico.
Hand in hand with Miyamoto, they designed the weapons after hearing the sounds he created. He's a genius, Tam.
Yes. Everyone go and watch the H-Bomber Guy video. Because it is H-Bomber Guy's video on Roblox / Tiny Tommy Tallarico is the greatest movie of our decade.
Oh yeah, I think I agree. I'm gonna watch it. I've watched it twice already.
M. Night Shyamalan had some twists. Wait until H-Bomber Guy does that twist. I was my God.
Two-time star of MTV's Cribs, right? Tommy Tallarico?
Exactly.
I don't know, at least his mom's proud of him. I've heard that my entire life, Tommy Tallarico saying, I worked hand in hand with Miyamoto on Metroid Prime. And my entire life I've been like, that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Miyamoto didn't work on it like that. Like, yeah, he checked in on it. Like, he checked in on all the games at that time. But he was barely making a lot of games at that time. He definitely wasn't making Metroid Prime like that. What is this guy talking about? But it was like, whatever. I'm sure he's just exaggerating a little bit. I didn't realize. No, he was exaggerating 100%. Like, all of the exaggeration.
Miyamoto's like, I've never heard of this fool. I've never.
Yeah, no way he has.
Yeah, you are out of your mind if you think I'm putting my hand in his hand.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
That's right. Mock Bucket points out this. I always remember. Yeah, he gave Metroid Prime a 7.5 on Electric Playground. He reviewed it.
I worked on this hand in hand with Miyamoto. 7.5 mid.
Oh man. And then Smash Brothers is another one. He gave a 2.5 or something, and then later he's like, no, I didn't. All right, this is the final story, maybe the most important story of the year so far. Sega and Yoko Taro's 404 game Reset, I think that's the name, 404 game Reset, and then there's a colon and reset if you want to make it a little bit more confusing. It reimagines Sega games as women. it reimagines Sega games as women. I just had to say it again for my own.
Sonic fans right now just on the edge of their seat. Like,
stop delaying. Tell me what I need to hear. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Sega and Nier series creator Yoko Taro have officially announced their upcoming mobile game 404 Game Reset. Teased earlier in the week, the mobile title reimagines classic Sega games as attractive women who represent an evil version of Sega. In a trailer for the game, a narrator refers to a distorted world where Sega reigns at the top of the world and controls everything. He continues, this is due to the power of the girls known as caste, who were born when Sega gave its games an identity. Players must get involved in the battle to restore the world that Sega continues to rule. The video shows examples of some of the game's cast, which are human interpretations of Sega IPs, such as Afterburner, Outrun, Virtual Cop, and Virtual Fighter. Yoko Taro, who serves as the game's creative director, said, it's a game that features Sega's IP, so I thought Sega should be in the game, but I didn't think Sega would want to see a game that portrayed it well, so I portrayed it negatively. Yoko Taro rules.
Yoko Taro is literally making a game where he takes Sega properties and makes them Girl Boss, Gaslight, and Gatekeep in one game. It's insane. How is he getting away with this?
I think he can get away with anything, it seems like. He can just do whatever he wants. I'm gonna get this video. I just saw some of the images, and I gotta actually see the trailer now for myself. So I'm getting that. But I'm like, okay, damn. Like, what woman would Vector Man be? Like, that's what I want to hear.
How easy! I love that Yoko Taro made one successful Nier game, and like now everyone is letting him do anything he wants.
Complete free reign.
Like literally anything.
Just
he's
anything.
Rolling up, and he's like, "You're an evil corporation. I'm turning all your IPs into women," and they're just like, "All right." Cool, go for it.
Yeah, it's almost like he shot like he just has a dartboard and he's just throwing the darts up there and whatever random okay, the publisher that I work for is evil and in the game and the video games they used to make are does that say plants? No, women. Okay, they're gonna be women. All right, here we go. Now I understand that there's definitely a genre of video game on mobile where it's like this thing is woman. Like there's one that was advertised to me all the time. It's like giant World War II battleships are women now. It's like, okay, there's some shit happening over on mobile that I do kind of want to pay attention to. I don't have time.
You know what?
I might make time for this.
I'm glad Yoko Taro because he made all those Dragon Guard games and everyone was just kind of like, yeah, this guy seems interesting. And then he popped off with Nier Automata, and now people are just like, do whatever, man. Just do it.
Absolutely.
Just make it get as weird as you can. And you know what? We need more people like that in the industry. So I don't know what this is gonna be. I don't know how this is gonna come together, but good for him. Make Robotnik sexy.
Yeah, I'm almost bummed it's just on mobile. Like the woman collector genre should come to console is what I'm saying. This looks actually incredible, and there's just Yoko Taro in his own trailer for his video game because he knows he can get away with it. Man, okay, I'm trying to jump ahead. Okay, there's Outrun mentioned. I'm trying to see if they actually show. Yeah, okay, there's Virtual Cop as a woman, and she's got short jean shorts, a gun it's a gun with the cord on it attached to just her because she is the game, and yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. I want to see a sexy Daytona car. Come on.
She's wearing a bulletproof vest as a corset. It's like maybe the most genius thing I've ever seen. Oh my god!
This is good. This is good.
Oh, I'm dying. Yoko Taro,
Shenmue is back as sexy lady.
Oh yeah, and he's just drawing on his tablet here. Like he's like, I'm gonna come up with some more fucked up stuff. Don't worry. All right. Let's just go a little bit here.
I'm gonna come up with more. You ain't seen nothing yet.
You ain't seen nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you to the deepest, darkest corners of my mind, and it's just a fucking.
That's gotta be Outrun, right? This is Outrun. Yeah, Outrun and a slinkini. That's what it is. Yes, there we go. Yeah. All right. Well, good for you, Yoko
them.
Taro. Yeah, absolutely.
Good for you, Yoko Taro. Just absolutely make a mockery of everyone.
If I could get away with it, I would too. Absolutely. All right. I have a poll from yesterday that I want to get to. Let's bring that up. I asked, does GBA on Nintendo Switch Online make you more likely to get or keep your $50 per year expansion pack subscription on Nintendo Switch Online? 53.6% said yes, 46.4% said no, and that's a pretty big shift from like when I would run polls about Nintendo Switch Online expansion back in the early days when it was just N64 and Genesis, I think. People are like, yeah, not really. Now Game Boy Advance apparently is enough to push a lot of people over, and I'm kind of right there with them. Those Game Boy Advance games, even though there are only 6 of them right now, like Superstar Saga is just such a classic for me that like that alone. But it's like, and then the promise of more Game Boy Advance games to come. Like, yeah, I'm going to keep my subscription. I'm really enjoying this. How about you, Tam?
Yeah, I mean, like I think this is a solid addition to the catalog. I hope that they don't take a long time to put more games out.
Great.
I think that a lot of it will, I mean, like people have paid their subs now, I guess, for a large portion of the people, I imagine anyway. But my hope is like it's always sucks because like they announce like, oh, we're putting these games on, and then Nintendo is repeatedly just like allowed momentum to fizzle away. I think that's the biggest issue that this service has. Like, don't squander the momentum you build when you announce stuff like this. So I hope that they've got like, even if it was just like one GBA game every 2 weeks, at least make it consistent and just have it so people can look forward to it and make the next one Metroid Fusion.
Yeah, God, yeah. I mean, that one's promised at the very least, Metroid Fusion. We're still, like, they didn't say anything about Metroid Zero Mission, for example. It's like, a lot of big games that could be announced. It's like, how long are we going to have to wait? For N64, we know it's 1 game per month. And don't do that to Game Boy Advance, please.
No, please.
Yes, you're right. Like, it's got to be a faster pace than that. 1 every 2 weeks, I would be happy with. 2 a month would be, the same thing, basically. But yeah, like, maybe it's just a little bit faster. Let's not draw it out through the entire year, these 4 games.
And also let Yoko Taro turn all your games into women.
Let Yoko Taro turn your video games into women, and then let us have those on Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack.
Yoko Taro make women.
All right. I'm trying to come up with a poll for Monday, but I got nothing. We got a little bit of time. Want to help me come up with something, Tam?
Yes. Type Monday, ? And then yes, no.
Okay. Monday, ? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. No. And then Yoko Taro turns games into women. Yoko.
There you go.
Yoko Taro's games are
Hit
women.
Post and move on.
All right, there we go. All right, let's post this. I'm going to make it 2 days. All right.
You're going to forget that you did this, and then on Monday you're going to be like, what the hell
every time I do one like this, I always end up forgetting. Damn, we got through that. That was a pretty good week.
We did it.
Yeah.
Like, I raccooned my way through that, you know? Yeah, we got through it. Our faces are covered in trash.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know what? We're content with it, I think.
No, I broke the show. My bad, everybody. Hang on.
What did you do?
I did the intro again, just like I always do, because it's Friday. We're starting over.
Oh, damn. All the way from the top. Okay, cool.
All right. No, there we go. What do we have going on today? We have UPF. It's good. That'll be fun because we're trying to put that together when everyone's busy and Jan's out and stuff. But we are probably going to go through some Nintendo stuff that happened this week. So Nintendo Switch Online stuff, Metroid Prime. I might see about checking out a few Steam Next Fest demos. I don't know. We'll check it out. We'll see. But other than that, we'll be back with stuff next week. Anything else going on GameSpot or anything, Tam? Anything else you want to talk about?
Not that I know of. There's an episode of GameSpot After Dark podcast out now. And then we're kind of like getting, we're working on a bunch of things in the background and in the foreground. And you know what? Hey, here's what I'll say. It's Friday. Everyone, look at me. Look at me right now. Okay. Look in my eyes. I give you permission to do as little as you want today. If you're at work, take the opportunity to skive. Go and do anything but work. It's Friday. If you're studying, don't worry about it. It will be fine. Go out there, get yourself something nice to eat, treat yourself, buy that thing that you've been thinking about buying, treat yourself. It's Friday, okay? It's quitting time.
I'm sorry.
If anyone says, what you doing, just say, Tam says I can do it, and then move on, okay? If Yoko Taro can turn Sega IP into women, you can buy that thing that you want, you can skive off work, and no one should ask you any questions, okay?
That's right. And what you do over the weekend involves the Sega video game women, we're not here to judge.
That's between you.
That's between you and Yoko Taro and God.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, in that case, Tam, thank you so much for spending today with me talking about video games. I really appreciate it, man. And everyone else, thank you for watching. Like I said, we'll be back with UPF. I'm gonna go get Melt. There's a place in Cleveland called Melt where they do like really fancy grilled cheese sandwiches. And
we had that over here. We had the Melt, but they closed down, sadly.
I'm gonna go crush that. And so that's gonna be my lunch today. I'm looking forward to it. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.